If you are registering a company or an entity with Samro and are struggling, then this video is for you. I'm going to show you step by step on how to register a publishing company or any entity with Samro to help you maintain and administer and take care of your music rights. Now, before we get going, there are a few things that you need to have done before you go and register with Samro. The first one, you have to register with CIPC, and then once you've registered, you have to keep those CK documents, which are basically the outline and proving that you own this company. The next thing, you have to have the IDs of the people that are the shareholders of this company. So that's typically you and the other people involved. Have the ID front and back of that document. The next one, it's a 500 Rand membership application fee for publishers of companies. So you have to have that money available so you can register. The next thing, they want to know who exactly the composers, the rights holders on the composer side, so that you have all that information, and you have to have their full name and surname, obviously. The next thing, you have to have an agreement between those rights holders and your company or the publishing entity. Now, if you don't have a publishing agreement, which is the contract between the publishing company and the rights holders, then you're in luck. I have templates for you to use specifically for this purpose. I will leave a link in the description so you can get these publisher agreements, and I'll leave it in the comments below. But moving on, I'm going to head over to my PC and show you step by step how to register a publishing company with Samro.
So the first thing you want to do is close any pop-ups that come up, and then when you're on the Samro website, samro.org.za, you want to go where it says music creator, and then online application, and then a new window should open. Now make sure before you start that there's two. There's one for authors, applications, etc., and then there is publisher, applicant. So this is what we're doing here, publisher, applicant. Make sure you got the ID for directors, the CK documents, as everything I mentioned before. What I didn't mention before is this over here, that the publisher share cannot be more than 50%. So you can only assign 50% of the copyright to a publisher. And then you can close this. And then click on new applicant. And then enter email address. And then you have to put in the passport number or the registration number. Now the registration number you get from your the document, the CK document, and then you put that in here. It usually starts with the year and then it looks something along these lines. Then you go on continue. So remember, this is a company, so you don't have to put in your ID number. Here you put in the company registration number for publisher, and you go continue. And then register. If you're ready, you have an account, log in here, but I don't have an account, so I'm going to add in the email address over here. And then you can click on next. And then you have to decide what you're registering as. Are you a composer, author, or you're a publisher? So in this case, you are a publisher. Now, the publisher name is the entity that was registered. So you have to register and write it exactly as it appears on your CK documents, right? The registration certificate has the publisher name. So you put in your password over here. Now, it's important that when you're doing this, you want the password to say strong over here and nothing weak. Then once you got that in, you click on next. And then you have to confirm your email address, and then click to send OTP. So this will send something to your email address, and then you have to put in that OTP over here. And then once you filled in and added all the contact people, declaration, make sure you click on here where it says you adhere to the Samro's terms and conditions. And then over here, name and surname of the person who's a director of the company as it shows on the ID. If you need to add another person, you click over here to add a new row for signatories. So that's if you have multiple directors. You just click on this plus button and then it adds another person. So then over here, you put in the position of the person. So I'm the director of it. And then once you've added everyone, you go over here and then you sign as you'd sign usually. And if you make a mistake, you click over here to undo and then click on next once you've signed. Okay, and then you come to this section, which is part B, which is the notification of works. So this is where you add the information of the track you have to have at least one track in the publishing entity. So over here, this is where you add that information. So in this section, it's Not Raining is the name of the track. There's an alternate name. Sometimes the track appears as Weatherman, and then the length of the song, you have to have the duration of the song. Then you put in the time over there, and then over here, type of work. So this one is a hip hop track, and then instrumentation. So instruments and voices, that's usually a typical track. So if you have a beat and your vocals, then you'd use IV. And then instrument solo, that's if you're just working with instrumentals. This is common actually in sync music. Voice solo, that's if it's an a cappella type thing. And then performing artist name is Skill Music SA. And then over here in rights holders, complete all rights holders where part of and everything involved. So then over here where it says name, you put in the name of the rights holder. This would be their ID name. So this is mine, typically speaking. And then composer, author, and then that person gets 100%. Nearly gave it all away. So over here where it says for the publisher, this is where you only put in 50% of the split share. And then over here for the publishing entity, you put in Skill Music SA. So this will be your publishing entity, and you put in publisher, and then they get the 50%. Okay, make sure things get to 100, and then click on next. And then this goes to part C, deed of assignment. So this is to give this company to collect all the royalties generated by Skill Music SA, the company, in the whole entire world. So this will operate in the whole world. For now, it is okay. And then where it says all parties agree, click on the tick. Make sure you read this. There is quite a bit of information. And then over here, similar to before, you use your mouse to sign. And then make sure, of course, that you press next. Now, when you get here, business name of member, this is the information of the name of the company. So the company is actually going to trade as Skill Music SA. And then over here, similar to as before, we're going to put in the registration number. And then type of business is already there. VAT registration, I mentioned before, there's no need to put in a VAT number if you don't have one, so leave it empty. And then name of representative member. So over here, this would typically be the person who's a director, and then designation director in this case. And then the rest of the information is put in there. Over here, you put in the physical address of the member. So I'm not going to do that now. And then over here, you look at the introduction, the membership agreement, which is over here. And then you also have to attach the ID. So I'm going to do this information in retrospect. And then over here, you want to add in registration documents. So this is where the CK document goes. And then in this section, this is where you want to put in the publisher agreement between the artist, which could still be yourself, and the company, which is your entity. So if you do not have this, I do have templates which you can get from my website, or hit me up on email, then I'll send you a link to get this. I'm selling the templates, so just keep a heads up, currently on special, but you can get these publisher agreements from my website, Music Biz by Skill. And then right at the bottom, you sign off as usual. So I'm going to do this and then hit next when you're done. And then finally, when you get to part E, this is when you have to pay for things. So you can decide electronic payment or manual payment. So I'm going to go with card instant EFT. But if you prefer the other methods, you can do that too. And then you click on submit. Then they use PayFast, so then you pay using PayFast if you're going to do the online method, simple EFT or card payment.
Don't forget, if you do not have the publishing agreement contracts, I have these available, readily available at musicbizbyskill.com, so you can head over there and I'll leave it in the description below.